Welcome back, everyone. And since 2003, the Nigerian government conceived the idea of deregulating the petroleum downstream sector. The goal was to remove total control on petroleum products and restrictions on refining. The plan was seen as a transformative policy shift aimed at tackling inefficiencies, attract investments, and create a market-driven operation where fuel prices are determined by market forces. 22 years after, with the entrance of its first private refinery, the Dangote refinery, have we as a country achieved a goal of deregulation? The Petroleum Industry Act is signed. What are the milestones in this journey of deregulation, and what are the gaps? Is Nigeria oil and gas sector better off post-deregulation? Tonight, joining me to discuss this critical issue are two industry experts. Dan Kunle is an energy and business consultant, and Igbini Odafe Emmanuel, a petroleum engineer and president Vanguard for Transparent Leadership and Democracy. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Welcome to Politics Tonight. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Kunle.
Thank you very much, Madam Olajimoke.
All right. Engineer, can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Good evening.
Right. Good evening.
Thank you for having me.
Right. So let me start this conversation right here in the studio, Mr. Kunle, because by 2022, Nigeria's petroleum subsidy costs had soared by over 1,000%. So government had no other choice but to pursue deregulation, aiming to eliminate subsidies and allow market forces to set prices. Looking back, would you describe it as a transformative policy shift?
Yes, please. Okay. Very fundamental transformative step. It was long overdue. We sat on it for too long, and a lot of damages have already been done, even including our psychology as a people. We thought petrol was as cheap as Fanta or Coca-Cola. We did not know that petrol is not a cheap product. It's an economic goods that costs a lot of money to explore and produce. So you cannot continue to control the price when your investment is poor, when you don't massively invest to produce in large scale. You cannot then control the prices at all. What you have comparative advantage to do, you may not have competitive advantage to enjoy it. I mean, in terms of pricing. So we didn't have competitive advantage to produce petrol. We had comparative advantage because we have huge crude reserve and gas. But your investment, your capital investment, your technology acquisition and applications deployment were weak over the years. So, and we were living on borrowed time. So President Tinubu did the right thing. Political economy. He took decision. He took political decision that now reshape the economy of oil and gas. And we are going through a transition now. In the last 3 days, I've been on television, my own voluntary volition, because I'm convinced about what we are doing. I'm very convinced, and I need to support President Tinubu, support Aliko Dangote to transform this sector once and for all. Get it out of the cartel that has held the country down for the last 30 years. Enough is enough. So deregulation is here, and we have to encourage the president, and we have to encourage. Right.
So talking about these decisions and how bold they are, the immediate impact of deregulation has been painful and quite hurtful, with fuel prices rising sharply and putting additional strain and pressure on Nigerians. How do you assess the way government has handled it?
That is why I say we have been living on borrowed time. We had oil boom in the early 70s, all true. We thought we were very rich, but we were not investing in our future. We were squandering the money, and then later we enter into recessions, and later we turn around and discover that our upstream joint venture cash call were in arrears, and eventually the country, we had no money. So the international oil company, they started doing something called modified carried agreement in our joint ventures accounts. So we became broke, and we did not invest in the upstream. So your output from your oil reserve became very weak and low. 200 million people today in this country, we are living with 1.5, 1.6 million barrels per day. And we have not increased investment in agriculture for us to do like Brazil. Had it been we had invested heavily in agriculture, we would be producing so much wheat or yellow corn or anything, and we can use it now to balance out our weak oil output. So because we did not do that, we became broke, and now we cannot sustain the subsidy.
Okay.
And eventually, we could not even run our refineries. So we were taking the profit from the upstream to squander in the midstream, downstream. That was what we were doing for the last 30 years. And that is the truth, and nobody can dispute this. You make money from upstream, from your joint venture account, you squander it in midstream, downstream.
And the consequence was quite weighty.
That is why President Tinubu took this decision. And his number one supporter is Dangote Refinery.
Okay.
It has crystallized.
All right. Yeah. We'll come back to that in a moment. Engineer Emmanuel, let me come to you. Before the deregulation of the oil and gas sector, the belief was that deregulation of the downstream sector will improve the efficient use of scarce resources, end the scarcity of product, and improve the sector's operations will be governed by market rules. And at that point, some other experts said it will promote efficiency, add to government's revenue, and erode the issue of fuel scarcity. Post-deregulation, what's your assessment?
Well, good evening for having me.
Good evening to you.
Let's not mix deregulation and the removal in quote of fuel subsidy. They are two different things entirely. I would say that, like my brother said, I doff my hat for President Bola Tinubu for taking that bold decision on May 29th, 2023. Two major decisions he took. One, that he will not continue with the fraud called subsidy. Two, he will also not continue with the fraud called multiple exchange rates. Let me put on record that in 2015, the moment then General Muhammadu Buhari was declared president-elect, I was the one who publicly advised him to appoint himself substantive Minister of Petroleum Resources. I am also the person who advised President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to do the same thing the moment he was declared president-elect. I have received a lot of condemnation for doing that from so many people, but I refused to change my position. I am not just talking as an outsider. I have been in the core department of the petroleum sector. I have worked onshore, shallow water, swamp, even in the oil and gas accounting department. So I speak with authority, with due respect, when it comes to petroleum matters, and understand the politics of petroleum globally too. You see, my sisters and fellow Nigerians, our petroleum sector has been riddled with massive looting and fraud since the 50s, since shale started. In fact, I wish one day I will see a president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria taking a further step beyond where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to order a serious investigation into the activities of the employees of the IOCs operating in Nigeria. I work for one of the multinational oil companies, and I know what I'm talking about. The massive crude oil theft has been going on in the IOCs, quote me. It is not all these barrels, drums of crude oil that some of my brothers collect from the pipeline in our Nigeria region here. I'm talking about the IOCs. My brother was talking about cash call. Please, my brother, I know what I'm talking about. There's nothing like cash call challenge. It's been decades of massive looting of our common wealth by top management staff of all these multinational companies, call them IOCs. Is that okay? I say it and I say it
because,
again.
Kindly hold on,
I work for Total
I asked that question
Energy
because when
CMP.
subsidy was removed, analysts argued that it was a step towards total deregulation. And I'm wondering, have we gotten to that point of full deregulation of the downstream sector, or are we still on that journey?
See, subsidy never existed in Nigeria. I will continue to say it. It never existed any day. I challenge those people who claim that they were doing this on behalf of Nigerians to come out. It has been massive fraud. Don't tell me subsidy. Subsidy what? On what? I am telling you today, and I repeat myself, that we can sell petroleum product for not more than 15 naira per liter. 50 naira, you heard me very well, 50 naira per liter. We have no business. Nigerians have no business paying more than 50 naira per liter for any petroleum product in this country. Look, my house, where I'm talking from Warri. My house is just near the Warri refinery. What happened to the Warri refinery before it was shut down? Was there any major challenge? No. Some person just sat down and decided that they want to continue to loot this country and order the shutdown of these refineries. Kaduna refinery didn't have a problem apart from the pipeline that was being vandalized. That is a powerful, very wonderful refinery. Is it the Port Harcourt refinery, the new Port Harcourt refinery? I mean, what is going on in this country?
All right.
These people just said, and if you listen very well to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he said he was prepared to hurt his own friends who are involved in this looting. He said so. Why we mixing things up? These are a bunch of people who just sat down, on patriotic people who decided.
All right, engineer, we'll come back to you. Let me come back to you, Mr. Quinlan. I do not think it's news that subsidy had been a fraud, but it was important to ask that question because proponents of deregulation argue that it was necessary for long-term stability. I mean, some of your colleagues have said to me that the regulation is key to solving Nigeria's fuel scarcity issue. So is this still the phase?
Let us dissect one thing. This is your program is called Politics Tonight, Political Economy. And in this very occasion, you are discussing deregulation.
Absolutely.
And the implications. There was subsidy, but I'm not here to create another debate with my colleague in Warri. There was subsidy. Scientifically, we don't know the numbers till today. Nobody ever, okay, every number they give us were estimation. They will tell you 80 million liters, sometimes they will tell you 60 million liters per day. So there was subsidy. The decision of the president to remove subsidy was good. After removing subsidy, the country was now able to see the real cost of petrol per liter. The economic price of petrol crystallizes. Because you and me were here when we were buying petrol for 185 naira. So we now discover that petrol could become 1,000, over 1,000 naira per liter. So the issue there is that if you want to dissect this matter properly, you will say, okay, what was the quantum of subsidy before the President Tinubu decided to remove it? Since we didn't know the quantum, but we were playing around with figures. During Baba Buhari, if you remember vividly, this country, Google does not tell lie. They will tell you different numbers every month. Yeah, so we are over that one now. So let us go to the elephant in the room now is that it's deregulated. Are the government refinery working to bring product to the market? Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna, as my friend in Warri have said, they are not working yet. Maybe they are working partially, but we don't know the volume they are bringing out up to this hour. So the mini refineries have been trying to help the country within their own limited capacity. Now, the big boy has come to the marketplace with huge scale, that's Dangote refinery. And now he has brought product, high quality product to the marketplace. So the market is reacting. The market behavior is beginning to crystallize. So we can now see that deregulation has meaning now. It has meaning. So, and the crude supply now also come to play. If Nigeria is living on 1.5, 1.6 million barrels per day, so where will the local refinery, particularly Dangote, where will they get crude to refine?
Okay.
So even if you give them 1 million out of 1.5 quota arrangement, that is all the refinery combined. So what will be left for government to export to make money? So in this case, you cannot even give. So that comes to the issue of capital investment. My colleague in Warri said there is nothing like joint venture cash call, and that we can sell petrol for 50 naira per liter. Yes, I agree with him. We can even sell our petrol for 10 naira per liter. If you have large-scale production facility, if you had invested by now, if you are doing 5 million barrels per day, that means you have invested over the last 20 years heavily in your upstream assets. So that means you are doing 5 million barrels per day. If you are refining 1 million barrels per day in this country and you are producing like 50 million liters of petrol, then you can sell it at whatever price you like, because you will net out the losses from your excess export crude. So all this theory is not the issue. The issue is that where is the capacity for the country today to deliver crude to her local refinery and to Dangote refinery? Right. The capacity is not there. The capacity is not there. So Dangote refinery is living on imported crude. Oh. And so the insinuation that maybe Dangote refinery is getting cheap crude from NNPC or something is not a good narrative. It's not a correct narrative.
But my other question would have been,
our crude is not cheap. Our crude is not cheap. I hope you know that. Our crude is not cheap at all.
That sounds debatable. But now that the market is opened up for marketers to run, is it as attractive as it used to be, also considering some of the challenges still unchecked?
Yeah, the structure of the industry, the structure of the upstream, midstream, downstream was originally vertical monopoly. NNPC was in everything. Then Petroleum Industry Act came and unbundled their responsibilities and said, NNPC, you are still a little bit involved in midstream and downstream, but you concentrate in operation. So regulation, NUPRC, midstream, downstream regulatory authority. So this decomposition, this deconfiguring of the structure has brought a new face to the industry. And that was what will have happened in the last 20 years. You will have decoupled the industry in a way that gradually every segment of the industry will be able to stand on its own. But the journey just began. The journey just began now. So that is why you are seeing all this. So the current dealers who have been living on NNPC, I've said it before, the time is over. The current dealers, petroleum dealers, they have been living on NNPC, they have been parasiting on NNPC and our wealth. The time is over. They should now go and co-evolve and cooperate and collaborate to exist and survive with Dangote refinery and the government refineries.
All right, engineer, you must have heard everything Mr. Kunle said, but post-deregulation, are there also positive implications for Nigeria's domestic gas market?
No, my sister, please permit me to respond to him.
All right.
You see, we need to tell ourselves the basic truth. I'm pained. I'm not talking theory. I'm talking with authority as somebody who has the experience and the education. I'm a petroleum engineer with my experience. Yes. One, let me say it again. We don't know the actual quantity of petroleum we produce. We have never had any accurate figure, any day. Forget about all this 1.2, 1.5, 1. All those ones are fake. It's been like that for decades. Quote me. If I tell you that probably Nigeria is producing more than 3 million barrels per day, will my brother be arguing with me here? My brother Kule, I know. I don't know your experience in the oil industry, particularly upstream. I know. You see, What is happening? I've said it. The massive crude oil theft is happening in the upstream sector. That is why this country is bleeding. Most of the companies do not have meters. Even those who have meters do not calibrate their meters. Any figure they like, they give to us. The joint venture agreement is a fraud. When we are in joint venture with a company A, maybe 40, 60% as most of them, and we need to buy maybe a compressor, and it will cost maybe $1 million. Mathematically speaking, it means they will pay 40% of it, while Nigeria will pay 60%. But what do? I'm not talking about the company, but the employees. Stop there. They will go and inflate that price from 1 million to maybe 1.6 million. And then when you work out 40%, they eventually pay nothing. So Nigerian petroleum sector have been so badly mismanaged for decades. Let nobody, all this one they present budget, federal government presenting budget based on projected 1.5 million barrels. We're expecting 2.something million. Look, that is insulting our intelligence for crying out loud. Do you know what is happening offshore? Do you know why most of them are divesting, claiming to be divesting and rushing offshore? It is because offshore is where I have worked. I have worked in all of them. Offshore is a no man's land for them. Who is monitoring what they are doing? It is a massive fraud going on in this country, in the upstream sector. Quote me, I am pained as I'm talking to you. I am pained. Secondly, you are talking about post-deregulation. I don't understand what you mean. Has the sector been deregulated? My brother come here, you're talking about Dangote. I don't have anything against Dangote. Let Dangote day in, day look with our day. Look, Dangote is a private entity or enterprise. And he said, and I can quote him, in December last year, Dangote said that the refinery, referring to his refinery, is where we invested over $20 billion. And I think we have to try to protect our interests and also our investment. So when Dangote refinery comes, I don't know why we're even discussing Dangote for crying out loud. He's free to import crude oil for wherever he wants to import. And when he refines, he's free to sell to whoever he wants to sell anywhere in the world. But Dangote's refinery should not be the one to be dictating the lives of Nigerians. A country that is almost the sixth largest oil producing country in the world, a country with at least 3 refineries. The one in Warri here now, I'm very sure it's working now. It's been working for a while, but I don't know the number of trucks. I don't know what they're doing there, but the flare is on.
All right,
let's talk
about fuel prices.
Dangote for what?
Because, I understand that the price of PMS is a function of the exchange rate, being an internationally benchmarked product. But about 24 hours ago, Dangote refinery reduced its pump price.
Which exchange rate? You see where I say that, with due respect, I don't intend to attack anybody, whether Dangote or whatever, but see, they should not install intelligence. This is the same Dangote that came out, and we are told that they are now getting crude oil in Naira.
Engineer Emmanuel, let me land with that question. Let me land with that question. Dangote refinery reduced its pump price to 825 Naira per litre. The question I wanted to ask is he doing us a favor?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I just told you that Dangote is a business entity. He claimed to have invested $20 billion. And you know the way Nigerian policy is. A government can come today and change the whole policy. So just like what happened to MTN. When MTN came, they invested because they were not sure of the economic environment in Nigeria. They decided to, in a hurry, recoup their investment. That was why we paid her initially. It was after they have recouped their investment that the tariff now crashed. That's exactly what Dangote is doing. Let it not deceive anybody. Any price of petroleum product that is more than 50 Naira, whether by Dangote or not, is not a favor.
Okay.
That is why I say I feel insulted.
That's taken. Before I come back to the studio, I framed that question that way because I remembered the conversation about monopoly and whether or not we needed this as a country. Some oil experts like you have advocated for competition in the sector, but importers of petroleum products are not happy with what Dangote Refinery has just done. Is this predatory pricing?
You see, it is a cartel, with due respect. I don't mean negative. Cartel is a normal thing all over the world. OPEC is a cartel, so it's not an insulting word at all. You see, long time ago, even during the military regime, in Warri here, behind my house, we're hearing all those stories. They will collect fuel from Warri Refinery, and then they will turn around and say they imported it from US. You see, it is the same game, my sister. It is the same game. My worry is that those who are saddled responsibility of helping the president to manage the petroleum sector are fading. I said I've granted interviews several times. I said it.
All right.
Those in NNPCL, those in NEPROC, those in NMDPRA, they have all failed the president. I've said it. And I say with authority. Look, these days, you sit down and a businessman will come and tell you because there's going to be a Ramadan, there's going to be a Christmas, he's dropping prices so that you'll be happy. How? Is Dangote Refinery one of those philanthropic organizations? No. He has said it, that they invested 20 billion. Where would that money come from, if not from you and I? He's in a hurry to recoup. Quote me, he's in a hurry to recoup. Unfortunately, our NNPCL just decided to sit back and allow Dangote to be the one to be deciding. NNPCL is supposed to be competing by provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act, Section 64. The objective of setting up NNPCL, making it a limited liability company, is that it should be involved in what? Commercial activities to compete with Dangote. What the NNPCL are doing? People are just sitting down. The money, like my brother said, the money they make from the upstream sector, they just squander it, pay themselves fast salaries, and do nothing.
All right, Engineer, I'll come back to you. Let me get the perspective of Mr. Kunle on this price reduction. But let's take a break. I'll be right back. Stay with us, everyone.
It's mid-term mark. The president...
Welcome back to Politics Tonight, everyone. Thank you very much for staying with us. Our conversation tonight is Nigerian oil sector post-deregulation. And my guest tonight is Dan Kunle, energy and business consultant. He joins me in the studio, while engineer Odafe Emmanuel, oil and gas experts, joins me from Warri, virtually joins me from Warri. Thank you very much for joining us, for staying with us on the program, gentlemen. Mr. Kunle, let's talk about price reduction, which may seem, consumer friendly, but Nigerians are scared. Is this predatory pricing?
You see, the word deregulation in itself already means, when you deregulate, it means you have ease. You have opened the space for actors to come in. And in production, as normal in any sector of the economy, when you start production, your initial average cost will be high. As you ramp up production, depending on your scale and your capacity, the average cost will start declining, or it will plateau. It may not really decline, but it will plateau. In this case, refining and process engineering, people must realize that the scale of this refinery, Dangote refinery, is 650,000 barrels. So if it's doing 300,000 barrels, the cost will be different from if it's doing 600,000 barrels. Why? The total summation of the cost of production is divided by the unit of liters that comes out of that place. Okay. So if I do 600,000 and I do 300,000, the fixed cost of the entire refinery and maintenance, everything is still the same. So if I do 600,000, it's the same, but by the time I divide it, I get lower price. So the scaling advantage crystallizes for Dangote from the crude he fed in, because he was able to ramp up to 600,000 barrels a day. So the scale, the average cost per liter has crystallized. Okay. So he could now drop price. Now, the issue is this.
So, so you're saying there is no ulterior motive to this price reduction, and Nigerians have nothing to be afraid of?
There's nothing. They will show you the graph. You see, it's because I think we need a workshop or a program for all the media houses to sit in a room like this and let them take them through the what we call the econometrics of crude oil production, gas production. When you see what we call, if you do 10 million barrels of crude oil per day, like Saudi Arabia, the average cost you get maybe like $10 per barrel. But Nigeria, who is doing 1.5 million barrels per day, when you go and check their cost per barrel, it may be about $38. So you cannot compete.
Yeah, because you're not sure, and I mean, you're assuming.
I am not assuming.
Okay.
I am well informed in this sector. I'm not assuming. I'm not an engineer.
No, not about the sector, but the intention behind this.
The intention is very, very honest and patriotic. This is the economics we are talking about. This is the, you say political economy. The economics of refining crude oil, the economics of producing gas is about scale. It's about scale. Right. This is scaling. So if your crude is cheap, like they say the foreign exchange component, it's not only foreign exchange component that affects the price of petrol in Nigeria. The cost of the crude, that's if you are refining locally, is a factor. Logistic, holding cost, handling cost, all these add-ons give you now what you call average cost per liter at the petrol station. So when people just see it as 2 plus 2 is 4, it's wrong. Right. It means they don't have detailed analytical advantage to break down this thing. So please, the intention of Dangote refinery is very patriotic intention, and he's doing it scientifically. All
right, we need to move on to other matters, but quickly let me get the final perspective of Engineer Emmanuel on this. Engineer, if you can hear me, but even if this is a predatory pricing strategy, what risk does it portend to the NNPC refinery and other potential competitors?
Dangote has no business with NNPCL.
Okay.
It does not pose any risk to NNPCL. NNPCL management just decided to fail President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and to fail the 200 million Nigerians. Simple. Simple. If what they have done so far is their best, then their best is not good at all, and they should have been asked to just quit the stage. Let me address my brother Dankule. Please, what you are saying is wrong. You don't know because you don't play inside. It is whatever information, data they give to you that you analyze. Your analysis is wrong. You are talking with an authority, for crying out loud. Listen to me. You are coming here in national TV again saying, when I'm even sitting as trying to correct you, repeating that it's 1.5 million barrels. Where did you get that figure from?
So engineer, he also has a right to
give to the media.
What is that? He also has a right to his opinion, and like he has already said, he's also an authority.
It's not
this
opinion,
sector.
My sister. We are not talking opinion here. We are talking about no. Please. It's not opinion. This is not opinion issue.
So I think you should also give us your own facts instead of dwelling on what he has said. So please go ahead.
Listen to me. That's what I'm telling you. I started by saying that since the inception of oil and gas exploration and exploitation in Nigeria, starting from Odafe, Nigeria has never known the accurate production figure. I say I work in the heart. I'm not just an employee sitting in the office, in the field. So I talk with authority. And I'm telling you, let me remind you that last year, even the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, my brother, Senator Lopobiri, he came out and said, oh, the federal government is ready now to provide 180 meters for the oil industry so that we can now know the accurate production. So what are we talking about again? Meters are not there. The ones that are there are not being calibrated. Everything is upside down. Many years ago, it was far better. I am telling you that we are producing probably more than 3 million to 4 million barrels per day. All other was unaccounted for. Did Elumelu not shout in the day, no, the one of, what's his name? I hope I'm not mixing the two brothers. They also came out and said more than 95% of the crude oil you produce are stolen. Nobody should be telling me 1.5 million barrels now. What is going on in this country? I have a responsibility under Section 24 of the Nigerian Constitution to contribute meaningfully and positively to the development of this my beloved country. Not how many of us will come out and say what I'm saying here?
All right.
I am telling you that we are toying with the national security of this country by playing with upstream. Every day I hear economists coming on television stations and be telling us what is not correct. What is not correct, you can't be telling us. And I'm telling you now, you are telling me that my opinion is not opinion. Do I have any other country? I don't want to Japan. I said I'm the one who advised President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Buhari to be substantive Minister of Petroleum Resources. Did you ask me why I said so? They are failing him. This country, it is not all these tax reforms. We have no business taxing Nigerians. We are dying. God has given us so much wealth in this petroleum sector, enough to make Nigerians, live very good life. And people will be telling me that 800 naira per liter for what? For what now?
All right, so engineer, are we doing enough as a country?
Right. What is that?
Are we doing enough as a country to tackle oil theft?
Now, I have told you that in the IOCs, massive crude oil theft is going on. So you ask me how? There's what you call scientific way of stealing crude oil. You don't need to go and burst the pipeline. What my brothers are doing, some of them, is that they go the crude way, burst pipeline, collect some little quantity of crude oil, and then go and be burning and producing local product. I'm talking of millions of barrels. We know how this thing is done. I raised the alarm 25 years ago, and it cost my job. But I said, I'm not going to stop. We can't sit down here and keep quiet. When they do the topping, you can manipulate the meters. You can bypass the meters. Most of these companies, most of these petroleum companies, both the ones owned by Nigerians now, many of them don't have meters. The ones that have meters, they don't even calibrate. Who is checking all of that? What is going on now? Must we continue like this? A country that is so blessed. I'm telling you that all these ones will bring economists to come and be telling us, analyzing. I'm not saying they are not good in their own. It's garbage in, garbage out. It's the figure they give to them, they analyze. I am standing here. I am comrade engineer Odafe, Emmanuel.
All right, engineer, I'll come back to you.
Telling you that we don't know the production figure of this country.
Yes, I get that.
Nobody can tell you it's 1.5 billion.
Thank you. Let me come back to you, Mr. Kunle. Talking about boosting daily production. Nigeria, as we speak, has set itself a target of boosting daily production to 2.7 million barrels of crude and condensate by 2027. The federal government talked about 4 million barrels daily oil production by 2030. How do we continue to boost our domestic production capacity to meet our energy needs?
Yes, you see, Madam Olajumoke, this conversation is for us to, the audience, to have a fair knowledge and understanding of the structure of the industry that have driven this political economy since 1958 to date. And whatever we are dishing out to the public, we should try as much as possible to be scientific. I, who is sitting here, am factual. Anything I say will be calibrated by most of the lenders to the industry. I say it with authority. What I say will be captured on television, and it will be relayed all over the world, and it will be analyzed. It will be calibrated. They will run my statements against certain information before they take decision. So to go back to the answer, to produce 2.7 million barrels per day of crude oil, madam, the capital investment you need to acquire technology, this country at the moment don't have it. So it's expensive. You have to do it over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It's not something you can grab in a day. If you need offshore drilling rigs, you need at times to book for 6 months, 9 months. I hope you understand the architecture of this industry. Technology architecture, financial architecture is not a tea party. I hope you understand me now. So, but it's doable. Our reserve, our current asset status, we if we eject capital, we can do even 3 million if we eject capital. But it's not something you can get in a day. And that is why the crude oil production here is expensive. It's because we are not in the most advantageous location in the world. Even our oil and gas basin, they are mature. They have been explored over the year. They are very mature. We know where reserves are already. But the capital investment you need, we are far away from where capital is available. And our attitude and culture in this part of the world does not attract investment easily. I hope you know what I mean by attitude and culture. It does not attract investment easily because our sociology and our heritage, our level of understanding business is a little bit, it's not, we are not there yet. So capital is not flowing as it's supposed to be. President Tinubu is trying to attract capital. For Dangote to do what he has done as a person, anybody in this country, anybody in the world, we rate him for Nobel Prize. So to go back to the issue, if today you have 1.6 million...
It's also interesting to hear you say we've not done enough.
No, we have not done enough. Because I will prove why we have not done enough. If you take your 1.5 million barrel today and you have committed those crude already. So how can you live in a country now that your own refinery now, you are importing petrol cheaper, you are importing crude oil cheaper than the one that is produced locally here. So I hope, and very soon, if care is not taken, this country will import gas. And the gas will be cheaper than the gas produced
this conversation
locally.
Some other time. Sadly, we're out of time. But engineer, in 30 seconds, oil theft, what more can we do as a country? In 30 seconds.
I've told you now. Which other thing do you want me to say? If we are ready to tell ourselves the truth.
All right.
I've told you.
All right, thank you so much,
What my brother is saying there is not correct.
I've been speaking. Thank you so much, engineer. We're out of time. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll continue this conversation some other time. Thank you so much. Dan Kunle, energy and business consultant. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Engineer Odafe, Emmanuel, thank you so much for joining us from Warri. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.